I spilled a little bit of coffee on there. Where is that? There we go. I need to get my car valet. How are we all? I hope we are all doing really, really well. As you can see, the kayoumini is not, and I could do with a couple of experts, or at least one expert on the kayoumini in the chat. So we'll wait a second to get things going. The focus seems to keep changing for some strange reason. There we go. I know it takes a couple of minutes for you guys to get the notifications when I'm live in this location due to the poor signal. So we'll just keep things pretty light for the first few minutes. I'm going to be live for a bit longer than normal today. So it's just a case of waiting. Tim, good afternoon and welcome. I'm so glad you made it. If you could share the link in Discord, I'm sure you probably already have. Yes, please, at everyone. I would appreciate that greatly. We broke 800 viewers yesterday on yesterday's live stream, so it'd be incredible to break that number today. Sadness Shadow 0. Hello, welcome. I'm glad you made it to the live stream today. So I've actually got quite a few talking points to chat about today. First of all, I've just done the maiden flight of the kayoumini, and as you can see, I've lost a motor, sort of. I need to know, yo, Only Drones, what's up, my brother? Thank you so much for joining. I hope you are doing well. So, yes, I love your videos. Thank you so much, Sadness, and hopefully my videos brings you happiness from the sadness. Hey, remember to hit the like, says Tim. Thanks, Tim. Yeah. I need somebody to tell me exactly what size and length screws I need for these motors. I identified this as a problem when I was building this, and I said it to somebody, probably Tim actually, that I was having real issues fitting the motors. And I might have accidentally crashed into a tree, which is why I've lost a motor here. But we don't talk about the tree, because trees are dicks. So, yo, it's... Hang on. It's Bruce, but we don't call him Bruce anymore, do we? It's Brett. Smash that thumbs up. Thanks, Brett. Tim, I use Alexa Studio for my PC speaker view via Bluetooth. It says Only Drones. Yes, it was booming, was that? It sounded very cool. What speaker was that, by the way, Only Drones? Because that sounded really cool. But yes, I need an expert, first of all, to help me tell me exactly what size and length screws I need for this bloody motors, because I want to fly this again, because I managed 60 seconds, right? And 60 seconds you might not think is a long time, but it's not what she said. However, I've been told a few times, oh, it flies like a 5-inch, it flies like a 5-inch. And I've had this built for about 2 months, and I'm like, it doesn't fly like a 5-inch, shut up. And I've sort of delayed flying it because I was expecting to be disappointed, but I really wasn't disappointed. I really was not. So I need to get the right screws into those motors so that I can rip it again. That 60 seconds was probably the best I had in public with my clothes on. It was really, really good. Like, I was really impressed with it. And I can see why people are obsessed with it. I did get vibrations because, again, clearly, obviously, I've lost motor screws. The motor screws have come out on the crash, but we can see what the problem is. Hey, is it? Do I pronounce it? Is it? I don't know. There'll be M2s, but I think the usual ones are 6 or 7 mil. So you'll probably want 8 or maybe 10s. Leonard, welcome. Glad you're here. Hope you're well. What's up is basically, we lost a motor because I had screws in that were too short. So I need to know exactly what the length screws are of this to replace it, because you kayoumini evangelicalists are actually all right. Oh, is it the kayoumini? Yes. Well, finally, yes, but only for 60 seconds. But that said, I want to get this back up in the air as quickly as possible because I use 5mm M2s. Thank you so much, Noland FPV. Everyone give Noland FPV a follow. He's the guy behind the FPV guidebook and the FPV sticker zine, and he is a bit of a legend, got to be honest. So 5mm M2s. I better screenshot this chat because I will forget, because I am an idiot. There we go. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Honestly, like everyone says, oh yeah, it's really, really good. It flies like it's a much bigger quad and it flies so much better. And I was just so skeptical that I let my own skepticism get in the way of flying it. And I wish I'd flown it early, because it actually is really good. And you'll notice, did you find yellow? I did find yellow, but only, I think, because the screws were not long enough in the motors. And I'd already identified that as a potential problem. But I just didn't have the motivation to deal with it. Now you said you lost an 04 today. I've lost my car. Oh no. To be fair, Tim, I nearly lost this because the beeper wasn't working and I could not see it. And you would think it being bright colours like this is a great idea, except it landed in autumnal leaves, which are obviously the same bloody colour as what the drone is. So luckily I was able to arm it, and then it made a screaming noise, and then the screaming noise obviously showed me what the problem was. But yeah, so yeah, I did find it had a little bit of jello. I'm 99.9% certain any jello that I did see on it will not be there in the final video, because it was just, those motors are just not screwed down. It's a bit, do you know what? It's a bit of a pain to build. If I'm honest, it was a bit of a frustrating build, but actually it's a really good flyer. No doubt you have every screw size boxed up and all organised. Yes, I do. Yep, I absolutely do. Yep, that's right. And if by boxed up and organised you mean thrown all over the floor, yeah, you're probably right. Probably right. I was accused as a scammer for not donating to another channel. I don't understand why somebody would accuse you as being a scammer if you're not donating. Listen, if you want to donate, donate. If you don't want to donate, don't donate. We'll just sit here and chat. I don't care. Nolan says, try some Gemfan 2520s, 3 blades. And Nomad says, oh, nice FPV drone. It was until I broke it. Morty FPV says, I used to think all drones look good. I'm proven wrong now. Morty, I've got your comment, by the way, about the scroll wheel. I'm going to do you a specific video for it. Does it fly great? Yes, it did fly great. It did. It's probably not going to fly great at the moment due to reasons you can possibly see on the screen now. However, we'll fix it. We'll get it back up in the air. Hopefully, I've got some of those screws ready. Ran you nuke. Hello and welcome. I'm glad you made it. Only Drone says, what channel? Yes. Just run a magnet over the carpet. Yeah. Do you know, it's not actually too bad. I've spent today organising it and it's a lot better, but I still can't find my 04 Pro, you know. My man, let's go. Big ups for the help. Anytime, Morty. Anytime at all. It might be another couple of days, but don't think I'm ignoring that comment. I'm leaving it there to remind me. It was some guy asking for some support and I asked, what's the cause? And he said, oh, I don't want to donate and I'm a scammer. Do you know what? I had somebody email me last night and say, help, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. And this person, I had a couple of people email me, but this one particular person has never left a comment on my channel. I don't even know if they bother watching my videos, but I help them because that's just what you do. And if he comes back and watches, you know, I mean, I've had people send me stuff who have then never left a comment since. Like, it is what it is, but if you do it, you do it. If you don't, you don't. How did you do the paint job, says Noland. It was just rattle cans, buddy. It's ugly as sin, to be honest. What are you talking about, Only Drones? Are you talking about my drone? Fuming. Yeah, it was just rattle cans, Noland. I did have at one point an airbrush, but I got rid of it because I didn't have enough room for it when I got a million drones. Alex, it's a kayoumini. Let me know if I'm pronouncing that right as well, because I realize I have issues with pronunciations. Like, as an example, I'll call Only Drones an absolute total and utter noob. And apparently that's not the right pronunciation. Blue says, I heard someone use a beta FPV vibration dampener for the 04, but I'm not sure the mount is publicly available. Do you mean the ones where it hooks on, like on the femto? Because if so, don't use that. That causes nothing but problems. Only Drone says, yuck, the drone. I think I'm offended, mate. What? Do you know what? When you fly this, right? I mean, not that you actually fly, but you know, it's all right. Noob. When you fly it, you'll be like, whoa, shit. bearing in mind as well, this is only a 2S drone. So, yeah, LOL. Okay, yeah, those the mounting system for the Femto, and I think they add it on something else as well. It's not very good. It's not very good. Big fan of Beta FPV and what they do, but that mounting system's not very good. I had to rip it out of something else to put a TPU canopy on because it was that bad. Leonard says, I've never had a drone. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully. I hate you because you didn't keep it authentic. That's okay. I hate me as well. So join the club. I don't like to be authentic. I like to do things differently on this channel. You guys all know that. I think it's a pretty cool paint design though. I mean, it's, you know, basically we did the rattle cans and then we just did a little bit of a fade on each one of them, and you can't really tell. Although I suppose you can actually when you look towards the end of the arms, but it was just a fade with different shades, and it's a nice drone. I'm really surprised actually at how well it flies. What's going on with that camera mount? It's an 04 Pro camera mount and it's basically amazing. It allows you to use the wide angle lens from Flywoo, which is actually really, really good. And it flew so well. Admittedly, it flew a bit like a monster because of that camera angle, but it was amazing. Leonard says drones are ridiculously expensive. What hobby are you into, Leonard? What other hobbies do you have? Because I can almost guarantee, I used to think this, and admittedly, I am a little bit of a spokesperson for the hobby now, so, you know, you're difficult one. But I used to think, oh my God, this is so expensive. Like, why are you spending all that on that? And then I spoke to somebody who goes to the theatre, and they spend more on going to the theatre a couple of times a month for an hour and a half than we do for drones that'll last us potentially years. Football, that's another one. Video games, you know, it's crazy. Leonard, start with tiny whooping. It's less expensive. I'm a bike enthusiast. So do you have something like a Specialized Venge at like 10 grand with carbon wheels? The point is, every hobby has its price entry point, and it ultimately comes down to the fact of how much you enjoy it. Entry costs are high, as Blue says, and they are, but not so much nowadays. If you get something like the Goggles N3, I'm not a massive fan of them, but if it gets you into the hobby, the Goggles N3, the Radio Master Pocket, and something like the Pavo 20 or the Pavo Pico, or the one that's coming from a manufacturer that I'm not allowed to tell you about, that's going to be a rival to that I think is going to beat it, it's actually not too bad. $350 and you're flying. Waiting for your full review on the kayoumini. Well, my full review on the kayoumini is I need screws. and then I'll do a full review. Oh, a Ducati. Oh, right, not cycling bikes. Yeah. So that's the point, isn't it? And I'm guessing you spend quite a lot on fuel as well, because those Ducatis drink. I always lusted after a Ducati 999. Blue says get an Air 65 Cobra SD Radio Master Pocket 350 and you're in the air flying. And for not a lot extra, you could get something like, and I don't necessarily want to, but something like an 04 Light Tiny Whoop, which is going to be slightly more expensive with the N3s, but maybe for about just over $400 you're in the air flying and you'll have a nicer time, in my opinion. Mr. Smirnoff, getting back into the hobby and going analog Tiny Whoop. Pretty cheap entry point. It is. And there's loads of kits as well. I don't necessarily think the kits offer the best value, but if the value is getting you into the hobby and you're able to decide, okay, do I want to do this seriously and get some decent stuff, or do I actually want to get out? I think the kits are brilliant, if I'm totally honest. Not again. See, turn up, show up. Greetings from Napoli. Skymax, welcome. I'm glad you made it. Napoli is probably one of the places I want to go and fly most in the whole of Europe. Napoli is absolutely gorgeous. Bellissimo. You're absolutely right, Ollie Johnson. Now shut your mouth and come flying. Leonard says, not that I have an issue with money, because I made a successful indie game and I invested all the profit. Nice. What's the indie game? But no, I get it. You see the entry price, and potentially if you're looking at Goggles 3 and something like an iFly Evoke, and then something like a TX16 Max, you're looking at $1,000, then chargers and batteries. You're looking at $1,000 entry point of something that you don't know if you're going to actually stick with or not. So I totally get it. I genuinely do. Bruce says, it depends on what you want to do. If you want to freestyle with the tiny whoop, analogs are better than 04 lights. See, yeah, they are, but yeah, grazie mille. Nolan says, don't forget the second-hand market. A lot of gear for cheap. Yep, very good point, actually. Very, very good point. I actually got my Goggles 2 second-hand for half the retail price at a time when I wasn't able to get new stuff, and I can't always get new stuff. It's just one of those things. So yeah, absolutely. Flywheel have released a version 2 of the wide angle lens featuring a black interior to solve the reflection issue, says SkyMax 74. They have. It doesn't fix it fully though. It's a lot better, but it doesn't fix. Summit, morning. Wait, Summit, you're in London, mate. What do you mean morning? Yep, no one would do that. Buy loads of drones before flying anything more than a foot. Tim, we need to get you out flying this. I'll say this summer, next summer. 996. Which one do you prefer, the Pavel Femto or the Dark Star 16? The Dark Star 16. If you ask me, do I prefer the Pavel Pico 2 or the Dark Star 16? That's a much closer answer. I got my Goggles 2 for €750, and it can do analog and HD 0. I got my Goggles 2 way back when I came back into the hobby in 2020. I got them brand new, but there was only 200 quid brand new when they first came out. I'm sure there was. Leonard says, I don't want to look like I'm trying to promote my game here. Tell us, Leonard. I don't care. My mind is just waking up. I'm only just having breakfast. Summit, have you got my COVID? Have I given you COVID via Discord? Only Drone says, bad things happen when I fly. Yes, this is very true. This is very, very true. Only Drones, I've got another aeroplane, by the way. So that's the point about the kayoumini. So thank you to Nolan for telling me exactly what screw I need so I can fix that. And also what propellers are better. I just threw these on for the sake of throwing some propellers on, and I thought I just need to get on with it. Which, thinking about it, these are only 2-inch props, and I thought this was a 2-inch drone, but Nolan has suggested 2.5-inch props, and actually, yeah, he's right. There's loads of room there. We're going to have to do something then. Absolutely, only drones. Velty flies FPV. I mean, I thought of going digital with the Goggles V2, but decided, nah, I'm going to go 5-inch 6S instead for latency and less cost. Which, again, I know, right, that I'm very, very vocal about I prefer the 03 and the 04 to anything else. But at the same time, I fully respect. By the way, has anybody noticed I don't have a battery strap on and I flew like that? But I also respect other people's choices, whether it be because of financial reasons or just at a choice that you prefer it because of the latency. Analog is so much fun when it comes to that latency. It really is. I get so stressed flying it, thinking, a submarine's going to come out in front of me and I'm not going to be able to see it. Now, admittedly, if I saw a submarine on my FPV feed, I've probably got bigger problems in hitting it. But I just get so anxious flying it, I just can't enjoy it. But it is also at the same time great fun. Thanks again, Noland. Only drones, best we stay in different countries. The chaos of us flying at the same time could be catastrophic. What we should do is get Tim, Only Drones, Barry Morgan, and Mark in a field together next summer, and I'll bring about 6 cameras and a safety goggle and a few fire extinguishers. That'll be amazing. Understandable, to be honest. I just never tried digital. I think the problem is when you try digital, if you're not, I'm not somebody personally that can feel the latency to the point whereby I'm like, oh, I don't like this. But I know and I fully respect that some people do. Guideline UK. Hello, everyone. Hit the like button. Thanks for joining us, buddy. I hope you're well. Paper Summy, always on paper. What a weird question to ask. The answer is always going to be on paper, isn't it? My word. I love random questions like that. I really do. But yeah, so I'm always going to say I don't feel latency enough for it to bother me, but I do feel the lack of visibility enough for that to bother me, if that makes sense. So, but I think generally, I think when you try digital, once you've gone digital, you're not, and I could be wrong, and everyone's different, but you're not really going to go back. But Only Drones tried analog last December and was buzzing off it. And I still like analog. And actually, I've got an analog quad to review on the 1st of November. Can't tell you by who or what, but 1st of November is the embargo date. So I have to fly analog between now and then. And I'm actually quite looking forward to it. Lego Edits, yo, welcome. Weirdo. Plate and a cup of tea. Nah, you're wrong. You're just wrong. Something. It's okay. Oh, go fly, please. The problem is Lego Edits. Yeah, that's the problem. I liked it because of the price. You did, but you also liked it because you was having fun with it, and the lack of, I think the lack of worry about price of breaking it, but also the lack of worry of you can smack it into your face and not worry. Remember to hit the like. It gets more people on the stream. Thank you so much, Tim. I appreciate that. Lego Edit says, oh, I didn't see that. Don't worry about it. I will have an edit out later. It'll be a shorts, just until I either get the screws I need or find the screws I need. Still not found the 04 Pro that I lost 2 days ago yet. How on earth you lose an 04 Pro is beyond me. So point 2 of the title of this is don't use Chat GPT. So I'm not going to name anybody, but I was asked on a comment yesterday, I've got a problem with this drone. It won't arm, so I've done loads of stuff to it, and then I've asked ChatGPT, and now it's even worse than it was before. I use ChatGPT to write some of my stuff. I'm very transparent about it. It helps me get more videos out quicker. It helps my workflow move faster. However, the biggest problems I have to deal with people emailing me or leaving comments and asking for help is people who have used ChatGPT to troubleshoot. So the reason that I've added this into this particular chat is to say, please don't do that. Because, I mean, I'm always quite happy to help. And, you know, the more I help people, the more my name gets out there. And the more my name gets out there, the more we'll get, you know, sponsors and hopefully members and patrons and stuff. So from my point of view, I guess, keep doing it because, you know, it helps the channel grow. But if you want to save yourselves a lot of stress and a lot of hassle, then don't troubleshoot with ChatGPT, because what it does is it takes, Only Drone says, hi, Only Drones. It takes a holistic approach. So it looks at the whole thing and is like, right, okay, this is how you would fix it. What ChatGPT can't do. Tia Golin, welcome. Glad you are in the chat. I hope you're well. What ChatGPT can't do when it comes to stuff like this is look at your individual problems. So basically what ChatGPT is a search engine that puts everything together. It can't think for itself. It can only, it's like a librarian. You go into a library and you say, I need a book of how to fix a Ford Fiesta. And she'll take you, or he will take you to the books of how to fix a Ford Fiesta. But if you asked that person to find the exact bit in the exact right book, they might find the exact bit that you need, but they might find it in a 1994 Mark III, but you actually needed a 1988 Mark II, and it's actually different. So the point being, don't use ChatGPT. OX32 ESCs. I did a little bit of digging after our conversation last night, and hello, good man, says Stow 13. Welcome. I am glad you are in the chat. So yesterday I panned Speedy Bee because they've got an activation on one of the new flight controllers. Turns out it's on one of the ESCs. What's up, bro? I'm very well. How are you? I hope you're well. It turns out that it's actually on the ESC, and I did a little bit of digging, and the OX32 ESCs appear to have exactly the same issues as the BL Heli 32 ESCs with a certain firmware number. So I did a little bit more digging, and it seems that OX32 has gone from a startup to providing essentially BL Heli 32 firmware in about 4 months. And then it turns out that there might have been a bit of a transfer of staff. So what it appears to be, I still fly my Fat Shark analog goggles. I don't have a problem with analog. I can't do it on the regular, and I don't mind doing it with tiny whoops and stuff like that. I just can't. It just makes me so nervous for flying for bigger quads. But yeah, just going back to OX32 a second. The more I dig, the more it seems to be the old guard from BL Heli 32 that shut shop and said, right, we're not doing this anymore. That have, whether they've created a new company or whether it's the developers that have gone to this new company, and then they can obviously charge manufacturers for the firmware. The cynic inside me says that's what's happened. So we've shut up shop. That's it. We're not doing it anymore. But then another company providing exactly the same firmware, and it is the same firmware. Although I'm more than happy for somebody to say that I'm wrong and to prove it. If you look at, I think 32 point, I can't remember what it is now, but it has a ramp up issue. And they say not to fly it, and it just so happens that OX32 has exactly the same issue. Now that's a massive coincidence, isn't it? Or it's the same firmware under a different name, whereby they're able to charge manufacturers for a license for it. That's what I believe is happening. So my panning of Speedy B yesterday was perhaps a little bit premature and a little bit unfair, but I stand by the point of don't buy an OX32. Because there's no reason manufacturers can't offer us AM32s. It's open source. As we've seen over the couple of weeks with the LRS, what happens, potentially somebody with bad intentions can come along and cause all sorts of issues. So yeah, that's where I am. I'm fine, bro, but it's a little boring day. Well, hopefully this stream breaks up that day a little bit for you. DG121 says, hi, hope you're well. Thank you very much for joining us in the stream this afternoon. In your opinion, what's better, KISS or Betaflight? Do you know what? I went through a phase. I've got a couple of KISS drones. I've got an Emu flight drone, and everything else is on Betaflight. And I went through a phase about, where are we now, 2025, so about 4 years ago of trying them all back to back. And 4 years ago, I would have said to you, KISS flies better, Emu flight is easier, and Betaflight can be just as good, but is a bit more difficult to get to the same level. Nowadays, because of presets and the advance in Betaflight, with the exception of the new bloody naming scheme, I think that's a ridiculous naming scheme. With the exception of that, I would actually say that Betaflight is probably the best now, when you consider everything: cost, entry point, the level of help. I mean, do you know anybody these days that flies the new versions of KISS? It's quite rare, isn't it? Excuse me, I'm just drinking my coffee, in case you're wondering. DG says Betaflight, and 996 also says Betaflight. It's yeah, it's I honestly think nowadays Betaflight is the best of all of them. KISS is, I don't see what the advantage is with KISS anymore. You could argue that it does still slightly fly better, but you're also paying a premium for that. And Betaflight, generally with the same hardware, can get you in the same ballpark and feel virtually identical at the very least, for less money. So, and again, the problem with KISS is it's proprietary, isn't it? So it's not open source. You have to excuse me, I need to drink this before it goes cold. So yeah, the fact that it's proprietary and not open source is another problem. I am more on to open source, but then I also fly loads of of DJI stuff, and that's not open source. So Flying Butter says, why the 4-bladed props? Because that's all I had at the time, and that's what I threw on. And to be fair, it actually flew really, really well with them. And I think it took off on about 15% throttle. It was crazy until I trashed it. But we'll get it fixed, we'll get it sorted, and we'll come back. And then the final point of the title of this video is Heewing H1. So I received my Heewing H1 today from Banggood. And I'm looking really at you guys as to what you want me to put in it. So I'm obviously going to put an FPV system in it, and I'm obviously going to fly it FPV. It's a 680mm dual-engined or dual-motored fixed-wing aeroplane. And I was thinking either walk snail, an 04 light, which I'm not sure about an 04 light because of the heat. I don't know how much airflow is going to get in there. Or even a HD0. But again, I'm not 100% sure about a HD0 just because of all the heat. So I'll have to see how it goes. Just do analog. I could just do analog. Yeah. And the problem with that, the problem I have with analog is twofold. As I was saying earlier, I'm not a fan of how little you can actually see, although you can deal with that, and it's not anywhere near as bad on a fixed wing, because you can add, well, you can add different antennas and stuff on quads, and of course you can. But I also like to have nice footage to show you guys. I prefer showing off 4K footage rather than just analog footage, but that's just me. But I'm quite happy to do an analog build. I've not done an analog build for a while, and I guess it'll be lighter with an analog as well. I think it only uses a 2S, I believe, so there's that as well. So yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. But I like this kayoumini. I like it a lot. And I'm quite surprised at how well it flies. So who's still in chat, let me know if you've got any questions or talking points that you'd like me to go through. I am more than happy to do so. Yo, says Only Drones. I'm guessing Only Drones has just come back. Wasn't the build I priced analog? What with them, with those new cheaper models? It was, yeah, I've got that as well. I'm saving those for the winter, Tim. So Tim and I probably spec'd, I don't know, 3 or 4 different cheap builds to do over the winter. One of them actually is analog. He's just reminded me, and that analog one looks like it's going to be a really good build. But I also picked up a 4-inch. I also picked up a 5-inch. I've got as well, by the way, Tim, I've received that Red Bull Star rocket drone kit today as well. So I need to get that built up. Well, not today, a couple of days ago. So I need to get that built up as well. So that can be one for next week. But I'm going to stick an 03 in that, because again, I'd like to show off nice footage whilst doing 300 plus kilometers an hour, because yeah, YOLO. That should be a really fun experience. Boy Wonder FPV has been sent a icon from Avion RC, so he's going to do some stuff on that. CO3 camera is really good with a maple wireless antenna. Built-in analog in general is great to fly, but crappy video to show. Yeah, that is part of the problem, Noland. If I'm going through the process of making a bit of a theatrical video and trying to add a little bit of entertainment, I just find it always falls apart if we just show an analog on the feed. And that's partly one of the reasons why I've moved virtually totally away from it. But I'll take that as a suggestion, and I'll run with it, and we'll see where we go with it. But yeah, that Heewing H1 looks like an interesting one. I'm actually half tempted to put a night vision camera in it, stick some LEDs on it, and then go and fly around the bando, because there is 24-hour security there, so they'll look up in the sky and think we're being invaded. And I don't know, it'd be fun, because I've still got to do a video of the Cadex Gazer, which I think is is that an analog camera or is that a walk snell camera? No, I think it's an analog camera, isn't it? So yeah, we've got loads and loads and loads and loads of builds to do on the channel. We've got a couple of ready to fly quads coming for review early next month. I've spoken to FlySky and they've said they're going to send is it the PDO1 Pro Art controller? So we're going to get that. You can put an action camera on top. I think the problem with putting an action camera on, unless it's something like the Cadex Peanut, it's going to be a little bit too heavy for, because I think the Heewing H1 is only a 2S from what I've read. I need to double check, but I think it's only a 2S, so it would have to go really, really light. I'll tell you what I want to do is I want to put a camera on a gimbal, on a pan tilt zoom, not zoom, sorry, on a pan tilt gimbal on my TBS Chipito. That's what I want to do. That looks like a very nice controller. A price on it would be nice. It's about 150, Tim, English pounds, approximately. I believe that includes tax and shipping, but I'd have to double check. But it's coming in at around about 150 from the conversation that I've had today. So that, I don't believe I can release the video until November the 11th of that. But I believe I can release it to members earlier. But I mean, it depends when it arrives, because they've only agreed to send it today. So we've got to wait for the post from China. Although, to be fair, I think they're sending it via Banggood from the conversations we've had. And stuff from Banggood seems to only take about a week. So I don't know whether they've got a warehouse over here in the UK, but it certainly helps, and it certainly sped things up a little bit. You from the UK or US? Where are you? Heard about the ban for DJI in the US, namely. Thinking since you like digital. Oh, 125 on Banggood. Oh, that's really good. I'm actually in the UK. The ban on DJI, though, whilst it is currently only in the USA, we all have to be super, super cautious, because it won't take much for other governments to say, well, that's a good idea, let's follow suit. And this is where I do get a little bit evangelicalist at defending the hobby. Because we had conversations yesterday about defending the hobby, and it makes me a little bit worrisome that the American government can just turn around on the whim of Skydio and say, well, we'll just ban everything DJI. It just makes no sense at all. And the whole arguments of national security and this, that, and the other, whilst they let, people like Huawei and basically, the risk is potential from any and everywhere. So I just find it really, really odd behaviour. But then as soon as you realise that Skydio was sort of behind the lobby, it makes a little bit more sense, doesn't it? But I don't want to get too conspiracy theorist, although I think that's pretty much been confirmed now. But yeah, Tim, 125 quid on Banggood seems to be a really good price. I did mention yesterday when we spoke on stream about, I was a little bit worried with it being FlySky, because we had an issue with the Nirvana and the Underground FPV and the FlySky NV14, which I've got one of. And I was a little bit worried that, potential things could happen, but we'll take it on face value because it's running Edge TX and it's running ELRS. So on the face of it, I think this is going to be up there. See, I'm from a gaming background, and a gamepad style controller that big with a colour touchscreen on it that large, well, is it a touchscreen? I think it's a touchscreen, but certainly a colour screen on it that large answers all of my prayers. So it's going to be really interesting to see if it actually delivers on them as well. So I will, of course, let you all know as soon as I can. I'm going to double check and make sure I can release it early to members. But like I say, it depends when it comes. It probably won't at the earliest arrive until the end of next week anyway. But then we'll get some flying done with it, and we'll see how it goes. So yeah, exciting times for the channel. Very exciting times. I'm still trying to put out a video a day. We've got a King of Quads battle for this evening. And then it's a case of, I was hoping to put the kayoumini video out tomorrow, but that's probably going to be, Skydio is going to be banned in the USA also. But Skydio's an American company. What? Please explain to me what's happened there. So as I understand it, regards from Saudi Arabia. See you again, hopefully, with the Deep Space 35. Sadness, I'm hoping the Deep Space 35 should arrive this weekend. The second it arrives, keep an eye on the channel, because I'll instantly get shorts videos put out as I'm doing the review like I do. So generally what I'll do is I'll instantly go out and I'll start flying it, and I'll upload the shorts as I'm building up the sort of review in the background over a few days. I'm super excited for that. Do you have a PS5 or Xbox? If so, do you have a custom controller? I do. I actually did. I've got both basically, and I have a custom. I'll have to show it on Discord later. A custom Xbox. What's the Pro pads called? And the actual thumbsticks are shotgun shells. It's really cool, and I painted it myself. Bit like this frame. Really cool. Sadness says, I will be waiting. Yeah, as soon as it arrives, buddy, I am super hyped. Super hyped to get it out there and flying. Somebody says, whoa, nice. Yeah, I don't have anything PlayStation-wise. I don't really touch the PlayStation. I mean, I don't really have time for gaming these days. But I do like a little bit of Warzone, and I do like a little bit of Battlefield. But yeah, I'll have to show my custom controller off later. It's really nice. Again, I've done like a gradient spray with an airbrush when I had my airbrush, and the shotgun shells for the sticks are really nice. China have restricted sales to Skydio because Skydio have a deal with Taiwan. Are you filming outside of school? Yes, outside of school, Summy, not inside of school. There's, as you can probably see, I'm not going to change the focus point, but there is a big bloody gate there, and the second anybody comes out, I'll turn it off. So yeah, is what it is, mate. Is what it is. I am on a public road, so yeah. Always got to turn it into something, haven't I? Dodgy this Summy guy. Only Drone says hello, dear. I'm looking forward to that Deep Space 3.5 inch. I do wish, before I've even flown it, I do wish it was only 4S. But also, that said, if they've gone, and I try not to, no, I'm only joking, Summer. I try not to look too much into the specs before I receive something, because I like to be fresh when I get it. But to be fair, if they've gone with bigger motors like they did on the 3-inch, then 6S would make more sense, and it would absolutely pop. So again, looking forward to it. Looking forward to it a lot. I just need to, it's one of those things, the whole shutdown for the Chinese holidays has just made everything go so slowly. Otherwise I would have hoped it would have been here by now, to be fair. But it's just one of those things. It is what it is, as they say. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. I appreciate it. I really do. It's been enjoyable as always. I'll try and get one done tomorrow afternoon about 2:30, although I was a little bit earlier today. I'll try and get this thing repaired later, and even if not, I'll get some footage out on the shorts as to the actual 60-second flight that I did do. And to be fair, the 60-second flight that I did do was really, really good. So I'm looking forward to doing a full video on the kayoumini. You've all been absolutely amazing. Thank you all so much. And until next time, peace out, everybody.